welcome back to the Button Tree Book Club. This week we are discussing Hidden by Marianne Curley. Alright, this one's gonna be a doozy. I have never disliked a book in such a long time as much as I disliked this. I gave this a 1 star, and I didn't even want to finish this book. It was painful. From the get-go, it was painful. And, I don't really want to spoil anything in case anyone's just like, I'm gonna go read it anyway. Don't. I've never heard of this author before now. I'd never heard of this series before. I found this, I think at a book sale, like a clearance book sale for like $1. And I was like, oh, it sounds interesting. Like, the concept sounds really interesting. It's just the execution was so poor. Okay, I gotta talk, first off, I'm gonna talk about this cover because it's the only thing redeeming it. This is a beautiful cover, kind of. I mean, no, even the cover has some things going weird with it. Like, the design is cool, but why is there a feather over her eyes? That is just, it's not necessary. Like, if you want to have the feather, cool. But, it's, right over her face. And you're just like, why? It was weird. The cover's not, I mean, it's interesting. There's some intricate work going on here. So, clearly there was some thought. But the writing, the concept, the world, the characters were annoying, yes. But I could have potentially overlooked it if this writing style had not been so horrible. It seems like it didn't get edited. It seemed like this was maybe a second or third draft, but this didn't feel like a final story. There was a lot of weird grammar, there were things that were misspelled, and that wasn't even the worst of it. Some of it was just so cringy. It was cringy. I'm sorry. The writing style got borderline cringy. It was sloppy. It was careless. And it felt like someone who didn't really have a lot of experience with writing yet. It just, maybe this is, the first thing they've ever written. And, power to you. How did you get this book published? Has this book ever been popular? I have no idea. I couldn't stand it. The writing style took so much. So this is written in first person, and a lot of times first person works really well with young adult fantasy style writing. It works really well because you want to be in their heads, you want to know what's going on. This jumps between multiple characters' heads, which it can work. I've seen it work. It didn't work here. I didn't like it. It jumps back and forth so much. The story's very broken. It felt very choppy because you're going from one character to the other, to the other, to the other. And I just wanted to be in one character's head just a little bit longer sometimes. Also, just the inner dialogue made me nuts. The inner dialogue, within 2 chapters, their whole life story, their whole backstory, except for, 1 thing for each person. And I was like, I want to learn this as I go. I don't need the whole story up front. I'm 3 chapters in going, great, I know everything about you. But now I'm going to have to hear you talk about yourself to another person, so I'm going to hear the same facts over and over again, which gets annoying. There's also the fact that the inner dialogue is just so cheesy. Nobody thinks like this. I mean, I kind of wish I had thought to, find some really, I was reading this out loud at points going, maybe if I just read it out loud, I'll sound better. No, it didn't get better reading it out loud. It got worse. It got so much worse. I don't have a whole lot to say on this one. I didn't like it. I barely finished it. I didn't want to finish it, and I don't recommend it. I gave it 1 star. I don't like giving negative reviews. But I drew this random. I saw it through. I read enough to know. I read it. I read book 1 to know. I kept hoping it would redeem itself. It just kept getting worse and worse. The concept seems really cool. So the idea is that there's this girl and this boy, but it's an insta-love. But it's the wording even was I just felt drawn to him and I don't know why. I'm you've never even met this kid. You saw him for 10 seconds outside some club-like place, and suddenly there's this insta, I have to know you. And I'm it's so cheesy, it's so cringy. And it wasn't even written well. That was the thing. Like, sometimes I can overlook, like, the insta love and that puppy love and that weird, like, sudden attraction. Even when there's magic involved and that's why the insta love exists. But still, oh my god, it was so... there was so much I didn't like. Ooh, like, I just sat there going, ah! half the time. It was not an enjoyable read. Maybe somebody out there likes it. I even looked on Goodreads. I put written reviews, and I keep track of what I read on Goodreads under Button Tree. You should check it out. I put lots of written reviews out. I mean, they're much shorter, but I try to give a synopsis of, like, things I'm gonna say now, things I felt like initially, because I write those before I do this. That way I can get what I'm thinking, how the book made me feel. Like, my first word for that review is just ugh. But yeah, I keep reviews for everything we read here on Goodreads, so you should check that out sometime. But going back to Hidden, I don't want to talk about it because I just disliked it that much. Okay, but I read reviews, and there was a lot of people saying the same things, like it felt sloppy, it was cringy, and I mean, there were some good reviews, and I was like, what were you reading? Because we couldn't have been reading the same thing. There was even people that said things like that too. They were like, how are people writing good reviews of this? Like, have you read good fiction? Have you? Because, like, I just finished reading a really good series about angels and demons. It was phenomenal. Angel Fire. If you haven't watched it, haven't watched those videos, haven't read those books, go read those. Those are good angel demon books. This is not. This is not worth your time. This is not worth the effort. I couldn't stand it. And with that, I am done talking about it. Don't read this book. If you read this and liked it, I'd love to know why. Maybe I'm a book snob. I mean, I've been told I'm a book snob before because I'm very picky about how I feel about books. But I normally don't give 1-star reviews. I don't think I've ever given a book a 1-star review. Maybe once, one other time, and I don't remember what it was. But I've never given a 1-star. I've given some 2s, some 3s, but I normally never go as far as 1, just going, I hated a book. I could not stand this book. I will never pick up this book again. I'll probably, like, donate it or something. I don't know, maybe I shouldn't, because I don't want anyone else to be stuck reading it. I don't know. I don't recommend it. Don't read it. Let's draw for next week. Hopefully I draw something better. Alright, let's go. Alright. We have our wonderful elephant basket full of random books. Alright, whoa. Okay. I'm going to reach deep in. Wow, okay, hold up. My thing is coming off. Put the slide back down. Alright. This week, or next week, I should say. Next week, we are reading... Thank goodness. We are reading the Nevermore trilogy by Kelly Cree. It is a young adult fantasy romance. I love this trilogy. I haven't read it in some time. I read it in high school on a whim because I saw it at, I think it was a Half Price Books. I saw it at Half Price Books, and the cover art is stunning. And, like, I don't think it shows up very well in the pictures, but there's, like, this overlay, like, there's this, like, texture to it. I mean, it's kind of like the Hidden one, but, like, there's, like, this script type hidden in the background. It's really cool. All 3 of the covers, because this is a trilogy, and I will be reading this whole trilogy and reviewing this whole trilogy. I'm telling you now, I love the Nevermore trilogy. Do I love it more than Angel Fire? I don't know. It's up there, though. Angel Fire has always been in my top 5 favorite series I've ever read. Nevermore is too. Nevermore, I mean, it's kind of in the title. There's a lot to do with Edgar Allan Poe. Someday I will do an Edgar Allan Poe week where we just read a bunch of awesome Edgar Allan Poe. That time has not yet come because I have not drawn it in the basket. But the Nevermore has some of... It doesn't have his work exactly, but it pulls on the ideas that Edgar Allan Poe created, but it's young adult fantasy romance. So, next week will be book 1 of the Nevermore trilogy. It's called Nevermore, and then I will be doing a full 3-part series of Nevermore, as well as I'm still continuing Lux will be coming out soon. Lux, the second one. Onyx will be coming out very soon. And then we will have Nevermore. So I will see you in the next book club. Bye!